Welcome to my channel, Ida Knits. I'm Ida, and in this video I'm going to share all the patterns I wish I had time to knit this spring. We've had some really lovely sunny days here lately, and the snow is melting rapidly. And I'm feeling inspired. I want to cast on new things, but I want to finish a few projects first, so I put together a list to cure the urge to cast on a little bit. So I've gathered some patterns that I want to knit. They're all long-sleeved patterns. Some are for cold weather, perfect to wear as outerwear in the transitional season. And some are more lighter, airier knits. So patterns with a lace design, for example, or patterns that are intended to be knitted in cotton, silk, or linen. And in honor of this video, I'm wearing a cotton sweater. This is something my mother knit for herself when she was 20 and she's now 70. So this has held up very well. I do think I bleached it at some point because it was quite yellow. So I just bleached it with chlorine, and because it's cotton, you can do that. So I really want to cast on something with cotton for myself this year. If I don't get to it this spring, then at least in the summer. But we'll get to that. So the first pattern I want to mention in this video is called the Heart's Desire Sweater by Knits by Vilma here on YouTube and on Instagram. Now this is a pattern that is not yet released. It is going to be released sometime in March, I think, and I will add a link in the description as soon as it is released. But this is the first ever design by Knits by Vilma. I don't know her full name. And it is gorgeous. It's so pretty. It's a cable design and it's knit in, let's see, a worsted weight yarn and a mohair on 4mm needles, which sounds like a very dense gauge to me, but maybe she's a loose knitter. The worsted weight yarn is a Swedish yarn, but there are many options here. I think I would knit this in white or a cream color for sure. Yeah, I'm just picturing this on a sailboat in the summer. Okay. The next pattern I want to talk about is the Ella cardigan by Lene, Holme, Samsøe. And I've already mentioned this one in my podcast because I do plan to cast this on, and I've already bought the yarn. And the yarn I plan to use is this. It's Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. In the color olive brown. Let's see. There you go. And I love this color. I think it's so beautiful. And yeah, I am knitting this to match my baby girl. If you haven't seen my videos before, I like to share what I knit both for myself and for my baby. And so yeah, I didn't mention that at the start, but this list of patterns is mainly adult size patterns, but many of them are also available in children's sizes, and that goes for this one as well, the Ella cardigan. So I have knit one for my baby. Here is a little sneak peek. I will talk more about this in my podcast episode, but I do think that these two colors will go really well together. So I'm very excited about that. And yeah, really want to cast this on, but I'm trying to finish something first. We'll see if I will be able to stick to that plan. The next pattern on the list is also a cardigan. It's the Cozycottagecardi by Ann-Kathrin Stoll. She's German, I think. And this one, I think, would be perfect to just throw over when it's a bit cold still, because it's quite thick. It's a bulky weight yarn. I have not tried the recommended yarns before, and I don't remember what they are. But I'm thinking Kamarose Snefnugg would be perfect for this, I think. I have never tried that yarn, but I always wanted to, and I haven't had the perfect project, so maybe this is it. Don't know what color I would knit this in, but I do really like the look of this. And this is another pattern that is also available for children. So there is a Cozycottagecardi mini, and there is also a Cozy Cottage sweater and a Cozy Cottage sweater mini. So many different versions here, and I don't think they're all in bulky weight yarns. I know the mini ones are in DK weight, I think. It says on the pattern page. But yeah, I really like the look of all of this. I think I like the cardigans best. And this designer, Ann-Kathrin Stoll, she has recently made a book. So these patterns can be found both as separate patterns online, but you can also find them in a book. It's called Mirror Knits, where she has many designs with both adult and child size patterns. And yeah, I like the look of all of these patterns, so I'm considering buying the book. The next pattern I want to talk about is the Ester sweater, which is a collaboration between Skappel, who is a Norwegian knitwear designer, and Helene Mo, who is a Norwegian influencer who takes gorgeous photos on Instagram. And this pattern went kind of viral due to Helene Mo's pictures on Instagram. And I know there were some issues with this pattern when it was first released. I don't know if they fixed it. And also it's only available as a yarn kit, so you have to buy the yarn with the pattern. The colorwork design is an old-fashioned Selbu rose motif, so you can find this chart for free online. And I was able to find another sweater called Carly Jumper, which is, as far as I can tell, the exact same design. And it's for free by House of Yarn, or there was the name of a designer in, I think it's Icelandic, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I will put it on screen. And I was able to find this pattern with both a 14 stitch gauge and a 22 stitch gauge in English, and also 18 stitch gauge, but only in Norwegian. I will link all of them below. And I think the Ester sweater is an 18 stitch gauge. So yeah. If you wanted to knit the Ester sweater, I think the Carly Jumper would be a good option instead, if you want to choose your own yarn. And I don't plan to knit this, and the reason for that is I really love the colors of the original Ester sweater, and if I were to knit this, I would want those colors, but I don't think I suit those colors. And I can't think of a better color combination. But I do think it's so pretty that I wanted to include it in this list anyway. And maybe some of you want to knit it. But yeah, so that is the Ester sweater / Carly Jumper. The next pattern I want to mention is kind of in a similar vein. It's the Flower Chaos pattern by Knits by Celina. And it is also available for children. And a friend of mine is knitting this right now for both herself and her baby. And I really want to cast it on when I see her version. I've already picked out the yarn I want to use. So the recommended yarn for the adult size pattern is Hrönn, which is a Norwegian slightly rustic wool, or it's soft for a Norwegian wool, but it's still Norwegian wool, so I find it to be slightly itchy. It's very light and airy, it's very loosely spun, which means it pills a lot. So I want to knit this in drops air. Not saying that pills any less, but at least it's soft. So I think that's a good trade-off. And the colors I want to use are dark grape and pink marble. And I've already looked at these colors in the store, but I didn't buy anything. Trying to restrain myself. But I might place an order for that sometime soon. I don't have a plan to knit this for my baby, just for myself this time. And it's only available in 3 sizes, but I assume that's because the colorwork chart is quite wide, so I don't think you can make more sizes. And I would knit the second size, I think, which, if I remember correctly, is 127 centimeters bust circumference. And there is, as far as I can tell, no neckline shaping for this, so I will add that. It's knit bottom up, so that should be fairly easy to add short row shaping for the neck. That means I will have to do color work on the wrong side, so purl and color work, but it's only for a few rows, so that should be fine. And yeah, I'm hoping I'll get to it. The next pattern on my list is called Karol Sweater by Lowkey Bold Knit. I had never heard of this designer, but it popped up on my in my Ravelry feed, or in my Ravelry when I was searching for patterns. And it looks so cool. I think it's called, what did you call it? Let me check. Yeah, so it's knit in a zigzag slip stitch. And I've never seen anything like it. It's knit in Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool, which is a yarn I really love. I think this will be a really thick, warm sweater, because Peruvian Highland wool is really thick and warm. And it's color work, so that will make it extra thick. So perfect for spring when it's still cold outside. And also, if you have leftover yarn in a worsted weight, doesn't have to be Peruvian, but some worsted weight, I think this would be a great way to use up some stash if you have some. And I love the color combination in the sample. So next up we have some more warm weather appropriate knits. The first one is Blouse No. 1. Now this has been on my list since it was released. I don't know when that was, but I think it's a few years ago now. I just can't decide on color, and also I'm not sure that I like the gauge. And I did see on Instagram that she is releasing a new version, a lighter version. So the original one has a 19 stitch gauge, and the new one has a 23 stitch gauge. And I think I would prefer 23 stitch gauge for warmer weather, but I don't know what yarn I would use then, because I really love pure silk from Knitting for Olive, but I don't think I can get a 23 stitch gauge with that yarn. So I will have to think about it. I did actually make a swatch once for the original one, the one with 19 stitch gauge. So this is with pure silk that I had in stash, and I think this has the right gauge on 5mm needles. And I'm not sure if I like how big the stitches are, but maybe I do. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell from just a small swatch. But yeah. Also, holding two strands together of pure silk means you can marl. You can have two different colors, and I do like that idea. I really like the sample in yellow. I think that's knit in two different yellows. So I have considered maybe the colors dark cognac and bark together. They're quite similar, because I don't like when the colors are very different, but a slight marl I think is very pretty. Or maybe olive and bark, because they're quite similar, but one is green and one is brown, so that might be too different. And also I thought of plum and French anemone. I wish I could buy all these colors and swatch, but that would be a bit too expensive for just swatching. So yeah, I can't decide on colors, yarn, or whether I want to knit the old version or the new version. So we'll see. It might just remain on my list. The next pattern is the one I want to knit in a cotton yarn, and that is called Lilac Blossom Sweater by Kyleigh, Noelle, Darchiville. Not sure if I pronounced that right. And I saw this last summer and I really wanted to knit it then, but I was pregnant And yeah, so I just decided next summer. And yeah, we're approaching summer, so it's on my list. And I want to knit this, like I said, in a cotton yarn. I'm thinking maybe just something by Drops. It's a 24 stitch gauge, and I know there is some cotton yarn from Drops with a gauge like that. And yeah, I might not get to it this spring, but at least in the summer, because I really want to have that. I think it's so wearable, like the one I'm wearing now. Cotton sweaters, perfect for spring and summer. And next on my list is the Dappled Lace Raglan by James & Watts. This is another pattern that's been on my list ever since it was first released, and that is because, again, I can't decide on yarn and color. I think I would want to knit this in, again, Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. I love that yarn. I could also try Tin Lene by Sandnesgarn. I have tried Lene once and I did not like it, but I think my gauge was way too tight. It was much tighter than it's supposed to be, so I think that made the garment very stiff, but I am willing to give that a new try. At least maybe Tin Lene, because it's thinner. But yeah, but then I can't decide on color. I do know I would want to knit the neckline, as in the, I think it's the pink sample, the short sleeve one, but I would knit long sleeves, and I would probably knit the sleeves straight and then do decreases at the end so you get a slight balloon shape. But yeah, still undecided on yarn and color for that one, so we'll see. Next on my list is one that is just a baby knit, and it's the Pointelle Cardigan by We Love Knitters. I think this pattern is so cute, and Pointelle has been really popular lately. The only reason I am not planning on knitting this one is because I just knit a cardigan for my baby, and she doesn't need more cardigans in the same season. So, but I think next time I'm making a gift knit for a baby, I might do this pattern. The recommended yarn is Lang Yarn's Cashmere Classic. I think I might use this yarn instead. This is Hrönn Merino, which I talked about in my podcast, because I knit a baby hat using this yarn. It is very soft and fluffy, and it kind of looks like cashmere. And it kind of feels like cashmere. I don't think a baby would complain. Now, I'm not sure if I could hit gauge with this. The pattern calls for a 23 stitch gauge, and this one says 24 to 28. I think I could make that work. So yeah. One ball probably wouldn't be enough though, but next baby in my life. I'm not planning any more babies at the moment, but you know, gift knitting. Yeah. Anyway. And yeah, that was just a baby knit, but if you wanted something similar in an adult size, I saw that Gregoria Fibers is planning to release a pattern called Vilma Cardigan, and she already has the Vilma top, so I'm assuming it will be pretty similar to the Vilma top, but with long sleeves, and it looks really pretty. But it's not yet released, so I don't really know anything else about it, but I think it's coming soon. So, yeah, there's that. Next on my list, I have the Fern Sweater by Irene Lene, which I recently discovered, and this one is really beautiful. The recommended yarn is Cardiff Cashmere Brush Light, and that's a little bit expensive. I would probably use Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, which has a similar look. It's not quite as even, I think, as cashmere or as mohair would be, but I do like the look of it, and I have knit a similar style design in Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, and I did really like that yarn, so I think I would do that. and probably just in a white or cream color. Yeah. So many beautiful designs. I wish I could knit all of these. Finally, I want to knit something with a yarn from my stash. This is Kinross 4-ply that I have in stash, recommended by the Crea Bea here on YouTube. And I bought this when we were in Scotland a year and a half ago. And I didn't really have a plan for it. I have 6 balls and I've caked them all up. I have heard you're not supposed to do that. I'm not sure if it's true. Too late anyway. And I did plan to knit the Luna Tea by Charissa. And I did swatch for it. Or I swatched. So this is a swatch in broken rib, and I have 2x2 broken rib and 1x1 broken rib. And this is a 24 stitch gauge, I think. And so I did think I could knit the Luna Tea, which is a 22.5 stitch gauge, but I think I could make that work. And I do think this design is beautiful, but I don't think I want a tight-fitting garment in wool. I have... yeah, my body isn't quite what it was before I was pregnant, and also having wool really close to your armpits means you have to wash it all the time, and I don't think I want to do that. So I was also thinking the Friday Tee by Petite Knit, but with the long sleeves. I have knit that before, so I have the pattern already, and that is a 28 stitch gauge, but I could knit a size down. Also, I wouldn't mind it slightly oversized. And I'm thinking Friday Tee, but instead of having ribbing, I would maybe do an I-cord to have something more summery, blousey. And I would knit long sleeves and probably knit them straight and then do decreases and then an I-cord finishing. I am actually quite excited about that idea. Not sure if I'll get to it this spring because I have other plans. But yeah, I might do that. So those were all my spring knitting plans. Obviously I won't get to all of this, but I hope you got some inspiration. I hope you're ready for spring. I am. I actually love winter. I love snow, but I do like when the days get longer. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing if you want to see more, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!